Air Force has a problem it won't say out loud. Every F-35 that gets shot down in a real war is gone for good. There's no production line on Earth that can replace jets fast enough once the shooting starts at scale. So the answer isn't a better F-35. It's something cheaper, meaner, and built to fight in numbers. That's the F-36 Kingsnake, a single-engine, fifth-generation fighter designed to flood the battlefield. The question is whether a so-called budget jet can actually win a modern air war. To understand why the Kingsnake exists, you need to look at a number the Air Force doesn't advertise. The U.S. fighter fleet today sits at roughly 2,000 combat aircraft. During the Cold War, that number was above 8,000. That's not a minor reduction. It's a collapse in mass, and it happened gradually enough that most people never noticed. And the jets that are left aren't getting cheaper. An F-35A runs somewhere north of $80 million per airframe when you factor in production costs, and that number climbs when you start adding mission systems and upgrades over the jet's service life. You can't buy a lot of those before the budget breaks. Right now, the Air Force is caught between wanting the best possible technology and being able to afford enough of it to actually matter in a large-scale fight. China watched that squeeze happen and built its strategy around it. The PLA Air Force has been fielding J-20S at a pace that's uncomfortable to look at, and the J-31, now carrier qualified as the J-35, is adding a naval dimension to the problem. They don't need to beat the F-35 in a one-on-one engagement if they can simply outnumber it 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 across a contested airspace over the Pacific. This is where history becomes useful. The U.S. has run a high-low mix of fighters for decades because planners figured out a long time ago that premium jets alone don't win wars. Mass does when you need it. The F-15 and F-16 weren't accidents. The F-15 was the best air superiority fighter money could buy. The F-16 was the jet you bought in large numbers to fill the gaps, handle the volume, and keep adversaries from finding a cheap angle of attack through sheer attrition. That pairing worked. The problem today is that the low end of the mix is disappearing. Most F-16 airframes are 30 to 40 years old. The metal is tired, the avionics are generations behind what peer adversaries are flying, and there's no direct replacement sitting in production at a comparable price point. The F-35 was never designed to fill that role. It's too expensive, too multi-role, and too politically sensitive to lose in volume. So if a real fight breaks out in the Pacific, over Taiwan, over contested islands, over anything that forces a sustained air campaign, the U.S. walks in with a small fleet of expensive jets it genuinely can't afford to trade. That's the gap. And that's exactly the problem the F-36 Kingsnake was designed to solve. So what actually is the F-36 Kingsnake? It's not a funded program with a contract signed and metal being cut. It's a concept that sits inside the broader next-generation air dominance framework, what the Air Force calls NGAD, and it represents the affordable end of a new high-low mix. The thinking is straightforward. If the F-22 replacement is going to be an extraordinarily expensive, long-range, networked air dominance platform, then something else needs to handle the volume work. The Kingsnake is that something else. The number that gets thrown around most is a flyaway cost in the $25 to $35 million range. That's roughly a third of what an F-35 costs, and it's the entire point of the exercise. You can buy 3 Kingsnakes for every single F-35, which means you can absorb losses in combat without the fleet collapsing after the first week of hard fighting. The single-engine configuration is where most of those savings come from. One engine instead of 2 cuts production costs, maintenance burden, and fuel consumption significantly, and the airframe itself is designed to be smaller and simpler without sacrificing the stealth characteristics that make it survivable. And it is a stealth jet. The Kingsnake carries a low observable airframe, internal weapons bays, and an advanced sensor fusion suite. The same core architecture that defines 5th-generation capability. What it doesn't carry is all the multi-role complexity that drove the F-35's cost into the stratosphere. There's no deep strike package optimized for taking out ground targets 1,000 miles away. There's no electronic warfare suite designed for suppressing enemy air defenses at range. This jet does one thing: it wins in the air, and it does it close in. Maneuverability is where the Kingsnake's designers have been most explicit about breaking from the F-35 philosophy. The F-35 was built around the idea that you never need to turn because you kill the enemy before he sees you. That logic works until it doesn't, until the merge happens anyway, until a missile misses, until the geometry of a contested airspace forces a visual range fight. When that happens, an F-35 pilot is in trouble. The Kingsnake is designed specifically for that scenario, with a thrust-to-weight ratio and airframe agility built around out-turning and out-climbing whatever it finds itself fighting at close range. For propulsion, the likely candidate is a derivative of the GEF-414 or a next-generation adaptive cycle engine producing somewhere in the 20,000-pound thrust class. That's enough to push a jet this size hard, sustain high angles of attack, and keep energy up through the kind of extended maneuvering combat the F-35 never trains for as a primary mission. The name isn't random either. A Kingsnake isn't the biggest predator in its environment. It's fast, it's aggressive, it bites before you register the threat, and it wins through tenacity rather than raw size. That's the philosophy baked into every design decision. Not the most fearsome jet ever built, but one that's lethal in numbers and nearly impossible to exhaust. Knowing what the jet is tells you part of the story. How it actually fights is where the concept gets interesting. The Kingsnake isn't designed to operate alone. The entire combat doctrine is built around wolfpack tactics. Groups of 2 or 4 jets working in tight coordination to overwhelm adversary platforms that cost 10 times as much. The idea is that a J-20 pilot optimized for one-on-one engagements at long range runs into a completely different problem when 3 Kingsnakes are closing from different vectors simultaneously, each one networked with the others, each one feeding targeting data back into a shared picture. That's a problem money doesn't automatically solve. The division of labor with existing platforms is deliberate. F-22s and F-35s handle the long-range kills. They push BVR missiles from stealth positions before anyone in the enemy formation knows the fight has started. The Kingsnakes come in after that opening exchange when the geometry has collapsed and the surviving aircraft are close enough that radar cross-section matters less than who can hold energy through a hard brake turn. That's the moment this jet was built for. It closes the gap and finishes what the premium platform started. Supersonic persistence is one of the specs that separates the Kingsnake from the F-35 most sharply. The F-35 can supercruise, but not for long and not while pulling hard. The Kingsnake is designed to sustain high-speed maneuvering through an extended engagement, not just punch through the sound barrier for a moment, but stay there while the fight is still happening. In a close-range turning engagement, energy retention separates a pilot who controls the fight from a pilot who runs out of options. Inside the weapons bays, the loadout stays simple. Aim 120 AMRAAMs for anything beyond visual range that's still alive, and aim 9x Sidewinders for the close-in shots. Keeping weapons internal means the radar cross-section stays low even when the jet is fully armed, which is something external pylon fighters can't offer. The moment you hang missiles on the outside of a stealth aircraft, the signature climbs fast. The cockpit design accounts for the chaos that comes with fighting at close range. High-G combat is physically brutal, and a pilot trying to sort out 4 threats while pulling 9 Gs against an AI-assisted adversary doesn't have spare cognitive bandwidth. The Kingsnake's avionics architecture handles threat prioritization in the background, surfacing the most urgent cue to a wide-angle helmet-mounted display rather than forcing the pilot to work through a menu. The goal is to keep the human in the loop for decisions while removing as much of the processing load as possible. And then there's the drone dimension. The Kingsnake's avionics are built to integrate directly with the Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program, the Air Force's Loyal Wingman Initiative. A single Kingsnake pilot can direct multiple unmanned platforms into the fight, using them to absorb missiles, draw targeting radar, or push into positions no manned aircraft would survive. That multiplies the effective reach of every pilot in the formation without adding bodies to the risk calculation. A 4-ship of Kingsnakes commanding 8 CCAs isn't 4 jets. It's a 12-platform problem for anyone trying to engage it. The jet's physical size plays into all of this quietly. Smaller radar cross-section, tighter turning radius, harder to track optically in a turning fight. It's not invisible, but it's genuinely harder to kill than anything in that price range has any right to be. None of this exists yet in production hardware. The F-36 is still a concept working through the early stages of the NGAD process, with Lockheed Martin and Boeing both linked to competing designs. The Air Force's stated goal is to make a program decision on the affordable fighter component by the mid-2020s, with initial operational capability somewhere around 2030. That's an aggressive schedule for a new aircraft, and the history of fighter development programs in the US does not suggest these timelines hold without slipping. Budget pressure is a real variable. Congress already pushed back hard on NGAD costs when the program's price projections started circulating, and the affordable fighter concept is partly a response to that political friction. If the high end of the NGAD family is going to cost more per aircraft than an F-22, lawmakers need to see something that justifies the overall investment. The Kingsnake is that argument. A jet cheap enough to buy in volume, credible enough to matter in a fight. The threat driving the urgency isn't standing still. China's J-35 is already operating off carriers, which means the PLA now has a fifth-generation platform deployable across the Pacific without relying on land bases that can be struck. The J-20 fleet continues to grow. Force ratio projections for a Taiwan scenario already show uncomfortable numbers, and those numbers get worse every year. The Kingsnake stays a concept rather than a production contract. If the program delivers on its targets, the Air Force gets the mass it's been missing: a fleet deep enough to absorb attrition without collapsing after the opening days of a peer conflict. If it doesn't, the U.S. enters the 2030s with an aging, shrinking inventory of jets too expensive to replace at scale, and an adversary that's done the arithmetic and knows exactly what that means. The Pacific balance doesn't resolve itself. It tips, one lost program at a time. The F-36 isn't designed to be the most advanced jet ever built. It's designed to be lethal enough, cheap enough, and numerous enough to actually win. Not on paper, but in a sustained fight against an adversary building jets faster than the U.S. can afford to match them. Quantity has always had a quality of its own, and the Kingsnake is the Air Force's bet that truth doesn't stop applying just because the jets are stealth. Can the United States F-35 withstand the threat of Chinese hypersonic weapons? Recent advancements in China's hypersonic technology have raised global concerns, sparking questions about whether the United States is losing its technological edge. Does the U.S. have the capability to counter these hypersonic threats, or is it at risk of falling behind in this critical area of defense? Join us as we delve into the groundbreaking comparison of two ultimate weapons, the F-35 versus Chinese hypersonic threats. China is making fast progress in hypersonic missile technology, putting it at the forefront globally and raising concerns in the United States. One major example of their advancements is the DF-17 missile, which is designed for speed and precision. It is a medium-range ballistic missile that uses solid fuel and is road mobile, meaning it can be transported and launched from various locations. They have also made breakthroughs in thermal protection and cooling systems, which are crucial for managing the intense heat these missiles generate during flight. These developments give China a clear technological advantage, showing their growing strength in modern military innovation. It's certain that they are not stopping anytime soon, because they recently achieved another major breakthrough in hypersonic missile technology, particularly with its thermal protection system. Chinese scientists have made significant improvements by adding steel nose cones to their new missiles. This advancement is crucial because it enhances the missile's ability to survive the extreme conditions it faces during flight. In August, China also announced the development of an innovative cooling device designed to manage the intense heat generated during hypersonic flight. Hypersonic missiles travel at incredibly high speeds, which results in a huge buildup of heat. Without proper cooling, this heat could damage the missile's guidance system, affecting its accuracy and performance. With the new cooling technology, the missile is better equipped to withstand these extreme temperatures, making it less likely to malfunction. This improvement allows the missile to fly more effectively and remain undetected, increasing its chances of successfully reaching and eliminating its target. These technological advances are a significant step forward for China's hypersonic missile program, giving it a performance edge in the field of modern warfare. As the race for advanced weaponry intensifies, These innovations could change the future of missile technology and warfare. One member of Congress is raising concerns. Representative Doug Lamborn, who is part of the House Armed Services Committee, held a hearing for his subcommittee this spring. The mood was serious. One expert on the panel said the United States is clearly falling behind China. Jeffrey McCormick, an intelligence analyst with the Defense Intelligence Agency, stated that China now has the world's leading hypersonic arsenal. The United States still has reason for optimism. Surprisingly, one of the best American hypersonic missiles is being developed by the U.S. Army. Known as the Long-Range Hypersonic Weapon, or by its nickname, the Dark Eagle, this missile has impressive capabilities. It can travel at speeds exceeding 3,008 human miles per hour and has a range of 1,722. The Dark Eagle uses a road-mobile launcher, a feature also preferred by China for its missiles, making it a highly versatile weapon. According to the Army, the missile can fly to the top of the Earth's atmosphere and stay just out of reach of air and missile defense systems until it's ready to strike. By the time it's within range, it's already too late to react. Despite China's advancements, all is not lost for the U.S. The race to develop hypersonic missiles is critical, as China has made remarkable progress in this area. Their scientists have been steadily advancing hypersonic technology and already have fast, maneuverable missiles deployed. China's military continues to look for ways to improve these weapons, and its rapid progress is something the U.S. must be prepared to match. However, the United States is not far behind, and with the right focus and commitment, it can catch up to China. The issue lies in the way the U.S. military approaches hypersonic development. While China has been able to make steady, incremental advances in their missile technology, the United States has focused on separate programs across various branches of the military. This lack of coordination could slow progress. In contrast, China's approach is more streamlined, allowing them to make faster improvements and field more advanced systems. There's still a chance for the U.S. to regain its lead, but it will require strong, focused efforts. We have yet to experience a Sputnik moment where China might test a hypersonic missile in a high-profile launch that demonstrates its serious intentions to use these weapons for strategic purposes. A launch over Guam, for example, could be a powerful signal to the world of China's capabilities and intentions. Until such a moment happens, policymakers like Representative Doug Lamborn, who is raising concerns about the state of U.S. military technology, are crucial. They are pushing for the U.S. to stay focused on developing advanced hypersonic systems to counter China's growing missile capabilities. While there have been some obstacles and challenges in the development of American hypersonic weapons, the U.S. defense industry is known for its strength. With continued investment, collaboration, and focus, it's likely that the United States will catch up to China in this critical area of military technology. The arms race is far from over, and with the right strategy, the U.S. could still emerge as the leader in hypersonic missile technology. This leads us to one important question. Can the F-35 withstand the lethality of the Chinese hypersonic threat? Let's analyze the strength of this American airfighter. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is one of the most recognizable fighter jets in the world. Since it began service, this American-made fifth-generation aircraft has flown over 777,000 hours. Currently, 20 nations use the F-35, making it a vital tool for the U.S. and its allies. For years, the U.S. held air superiority with the introduction of the F-22 Raptor. However, both China and Russia now have their own fifth-generation jets and are working on sixth-generation designs. For now, the F-22 and F-35 remain America's top fighters. The F-35 mission systems are like the brain and eyes of the jet, making it one of the smartest aircraft ever built. Packed with advanced sensors and software, these systems give pilots a complete picture of their surroundings, making the jet a powerful tool in modern warfare. Key components include the APG-81 radar, which can track multiple targets over 150 kilometers away, and the Barracuda electronic warfare system, which can detect, jam, and protect against enemy radars. The jet also features a cutting-edge distributed aperture system with 6 infrared cameras that provide a full to 60-degree view, even at night. All this information is fused into a single clear display for the pilot, giving them unmatched situational awareness. Future upgrades include improved sensors, a more powerful radar, and even the ability to control drones during missions. With these advancements, the F-35 isn't just a fighter jet. It's a flying command center built for the future of air combat. Stealth is one of the F-35's most impressive features, making it hard for enemies to detect. Its unique design includes smooth, curved surfaces, precisely aligned edges, and radar-absorbing materials to minimize radar detection. Even the engine is cleverly hidden from view. The jet's advanced air intake system, called the diverterless supersonic inlet, further reduces its radar signature by eliminating gaps that could reflect signals. Remarkably, the F-35 radio cross-section is so small that it's been compared to the size of a metal golf ball from certain angles, even outperforming the stealthy F-22 in some scenarios. Its outer skin, made from durable, radar-absorbent material, is designed to last longer and require less maintenance than older stealth aircraft like the F-22. The F-35 also reduces its infrared and visual signatures, making it harder to spot by heat or sight. It carefully manages its radio signals to avoid detection. While low-frequency radars can sometimes detect stealth aircraft, they are bulky, imprecise, and easy to locate, giving the F-35 a significant advantage. For training purposes, it can even use special reflectors to temporarily increase its radar signature. Its cockpit is like something out of a sci-fi movie, designed to give pilots maximum awareness and control. At its heart is a massive 20 by 8-inch touchscreen display, which shows everything from flight data to weapon systems and alerts. Pilots can customize the layout to fit their needs, making it incredibly user-friendly. Beneath this display is a smaller backup screen for emergencies, while advanced voice recognition technology allows hands-free commands. Unlike older jets with head-up displays on the dashboard, the F-35 uses a state-of-the-art helmet-mounted display system. This helmet projects flight and combat information directly onto the pilot's visor, so they can see critical data no matter where they're looking. It even integrates infrared and night vision, allowing pilots to see through the plane for incredible situational awareness. The helmet is so advanced that pilots can lock onto targets and fire missiles without pointing the aircraft directly at them. Each helmet costs a whopping $400,000, but its capabilities are game-changing. While the HMDS had some growing pains, like issues with vibration and night vision early on, it's now more reliable than ever. The latest version boasts improved cameras, sharper displays, and advanced alignment features. The F-35 cockpit and helmet work together to give pilots an unmatched edge in the skies, blending cutting-edge technology with pilot-friendly design. Without going on and on about the capabilities of the F-35, to answer the question, it is unlikely for this American aircraft to be able to directly withstand a hit from a modern Chinese hypersonic missile due to their extreme speed, maneuverability, and difficulty in detection, making them very hard to intercept with current technology. What is the United States Air Force doing concerning the threat that these Chinese hypersonic air force pose? The United States Department of Defense is ramping up spending on hypersonic weapons after years of warnings that China is pulling ahead in this technology. However, this new arms race comes with risks, especially as relations between the US and China continue to worsen, and there's limited information about China's advancements in this field. Hypersonic weapons, which travel faster than Mach 5, aren't a new concept. The US has been testing them since the 1950s, but investment in these systems slowed over the years. Meanwhile, China and Russia have made significant progress in their hypersonic programs. Russia recently demonstrated its capability by using 6 hypersonic Kinzhal missiles in Ukraine, the largest single deployment of these weapons during the war. Other nations, including Australia, South and North Korea, Japan, India, and Germany, are also developing hypersonic weapons. The US is now increasing funding and efforts to catch up, but the timing is tense, with US-China relations at their lowest point in decades. This competition could shape the future of global military power. The US Department of Defense reportedly plans to allocate $15 billion for hypersonic weapons development for the Army and Air Force between 2023 and 2027, as highlighted in a Congressional Budget Office report. This figure excludes the Navy's program, which recently awarded a $1.1 billion contract to Lockheed Martin for integrating hypersonic systems into Zumwalt-class destroyers. Experts have indicated that the US may be lagging behind China in this field. Reports noted that China's 2021 test of a nuclear-capable hypersonic weapon surprised many in the defense sector, showcasing advanced capabilities that exceeded expectations. It has been suggested that America's previous technological dominance, once considered untouchable, is now being challenged by China's progress. Observers have pointed out that this shift has spurred the U.S. to accelerate its efforts in several areas. Concerns have also been raised about the absence of treaties governing hypersonic weapons, a situation some believe could lead to global instability, as seen during the Cuban Missile Crisis. However, analysts have noted that the major powers in this domain appear unwilling to pursue such agreements at present. Despite challenges, U.S. defense officials, lawmakers, and weapons manufacturers continue to advocate for hypersonic technology, with the government now committing significant funding to advance the project. Hypersonic weapons are undeniably expensive, but they offer unique advantages that justify the investment. The U.S. military began exploring hypersonic systems as far back as the 1960s, initially focusing on hypersonic flight for transporting people rather than weapons. By the 1980s, however, the focus shifted. During this period, the Air Force tested the maneuvering reentry vehicles, demonstrating that missiles traveling at speeds of Mach 5 or faster could be guided precisely to their targets as they re-entered Earth's atmosphere. The early 2000s marked a turning point when the U.S. began serious efforts to develop hypersonic weapons under its conventional prompt global strike program. Today, two primary types of hypersonic weapons are being developed: glide vehicles and air-breathing missiles. Glide vehicles are launched on rockets and glide through the atmosphere at high speeds, while air-breathing missiles use engines to sustain their hypersonic speeds. Although U.S. hypersonic systems are designed to carry conventional payloads, other nations, such as China, are pursuing nuclear-capable hypersonic weapons. This was evident during China's groundbreaking 2021 tests, which demonstrated the ability to combine nuclear warheads with hypersonic speeds, raising concerns about the global arms race. As the U.S. pushes forward, these advanced systems promise unparalleled speed, precision, and flexibility in modern warfare, making them a critical focus for defense strategies. China has long sought ways to counter U.S. missile defense systems, viewing them as a threat to its nuclear deterrence, according to Lyle Morris, a senior fellow at the Asia Society Policy Institute. Since the early 2000s, China has significantly boosted its hypersonic weapons program, especially after the U.S. withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty with the Soviet Union. With no restrictions on developing anti-ballistic systems, China felt compelled to develop a different kind of deterrent. One key focus of China's efforts has been glide-type hypersonic weapons. These systems start their journey atop a ballistic missile, explains Timothy Heath, a defense researcher at the RAND Corporation. Once the missile reaches a certain altitude, the hypersonic glider detaches and travels at incredible speeds within the atmosphere. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that follow a fixed trajectory, the glider can maneuver in flight, using the momentum from its launch to strike its target with precision. China claims its hypersonic weapons are ready for deployment, which Heath notes is a step or two ahead of the U.S., whose hypersonic program is still in the testing phase. This progress isn't surprising given China's advanced ballistic missile program and the U.S.'s relative underinvestment in similar technologies over the years. The real game changer with hypersonic weapons isn't just their speed, but their ability to maneuver and evade missile defense systems like the Patriot. These systems, widely used in the U.S. and 17 other countries, struggle to track and intercept hypersonic weapons due to their unpredictable flight paths and the ability to skim the edge of the Earth's atmosphere before re-entering. According to defense experts, hypersonic weapons could potentially outmatch even the most advanced air and missile defense systems in the near future, making them a significant development in modern military technology. With China's successful hypersonic missile tests and rising tensions between Beijing and Washington, it's understandable to worry about the rapid pace of weapons development and heated rhetoric. However, there are significant obstacles to the widespread use of hypersonic weapons in combat. The high cost, around $15 million to $18 million per missile, combined with the practical realities of warfare, where basic weapons like artillery are often more effective, makes their use in battle questionable. Experts like Lyle Morris and Timothy Heath are skeptical about hypersonics' actual usefulness on the battlefield. A report from the Congressional Research Service points out that critics believe these weapons don't have clear mission roles, don't significantly improve U.S. military capabilities, and aren't necessary for deterrence. In addition, there's concern that China might share its hypersonic technology with other U.S. adversaries, such as North Korea, Iran, and Russia, all of which are developing their own hypersonic programs. As China and Russia strengthen their defense and technological ties, sharing knowledge on hypersonics wouldn't be surprising, says Elsa Kania, an expert on national security. One of the main concerns about China's hypersonic program is that the U.S. might be caught off guard. The fear of appearing less dominant in defense was especially strong after China's successful missile tests in 2021. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, called these tests China's Sputnik moment, drawing a comparison to the Soviet Union's 1957 launch of the first artificial satellite, which shocked the U.S. Despite the concerns, Heath argues that hypersonic weapons would not be the deciding factor in a conflict between the U.S. and China or any other nation with hypersonic capabilities. The U.S. has a significant edge in other military technologies like stealth aircraft, long-range bombers, aircraft carriers, and submarines, conventional forces that allow the U.S. to project power and dominate adversaries without relying on long-range missiles. As the U.S. continues to invest in hypersonics and other nations develop their own capabilities, it's crucial to establish some sort of agreement on how these weapons should be used in combat. Unfortunately, Morris notes, this may not happen until a major escalation forces both sides to confront the issue. With the current lack of communication between China and the U.S. military, the risk of misunderstandings or miscalculations is high. Furthermore, most significant weapons agreements have historically been between the U.S. and Russia. With Russia pulling out of the New START Treaty, the last major nuclear arms control agreement, the hope for any future defense technology agreement seems distant at best. A U.S. ally just built a fighter that challenges American air dominance. For years, the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II defined modern air power, so advanced that nations were expected to accept its terms or go without. Then South Korea made a different move. They built their own jet. The KAI KF-21 Boramae isn't just another aircraft. It's a signal of changing dominance. What does it really mean for the F-35's dominance? And why are analysts paying close attention now? Join us as we unveil the capabilities of the KF-21 that just rendered the F-35 obsolete. On paper, the F-35 looks unstoppable. It is described as the most advanced electronic warfare platform ever flown, with sensor fusion that borders on artificial intelligence and a supply chain that spans 45 states and hundreds of contractors. But modern warfare doesn't reward what looks unstoppable on paper. The uncomfortable truth is that the F-35, for all its capability, was designed for a strategic environment that no longer exists. Its development began in the 1990s when the United States assumed it would always have uncontested air superiority and a virtually unlimited budget. The F-35 was built to be the ultimate expression of American air power. A single platform that could replace the A-10, the F-16, the AV-8 Bravo, and the F-18. It was supposed to do everything. In practice, doing everything has come at a cost that is measured not just in dollars, but in availability, sustainment, and strategic flexibility. The F-35 costs approximately $35,000 per flight hour to operate. Its maintenance footprint requires a global network of specialized depots, and its most classified systems, the ones that make it truly dominant, are subject to export restrictions that leave allied nations dependent on American approval for everything from software updates to weapons integration. And that gap is exactly where the problem begins. South Korea began searching for its own indigenous fighter in earnest under a program called KFX, with a single overriding requirement: develop an advanced multi-role fighter that could operate independently of foreign export controls, integrate Korean-made weapons, and be sustained by Korean industry. A fighter that would not ask permission to fly, to fight, or to evolve. That requirement quietly ruled out every foreign fighter on the market. So Korea Aerospace Industries didn't try to buy the F-35. They built something better suited to the future of aerial combat. That is exactly the problem KAI set out to solve with the KF-21 Boramae, not with a copy of the F-35 or a cheaper imitation, but with a fundamentally different design philosophy. Where the F-35 prioritized absolute stealth at the expense of cost, speed, and maintainability, the KF-21 prioritizes capability in a contested environment where stealth is just one variable among many. This concept was first demonstrated by the KF-21's design choices. Unlike the F-35, which carries its weapons internally to preserve a flawless stealth profile, the KF-21 features 6 internal weapon stations that can carry air-to-air missiles and air-to-ground munitions, but also 6 external hardpoints that can be configured for missions where stealth is less critical than payload. The result is an aircraft that can fight as a stealth fighter when it needs to, and as a conventional bomb truck when it doesn't. An aircraft that is not locked into a single configuration for every mission, but can adapt its signature, its payload, and its role to the specific threat environment. But that flexibility came at a cost. When the KFX program was announced in the early 2010s, the skepticism was overwhelming. South Korea had never built a supersonic fighter. The T-50 Golden Eagle, a supersonic trainer developed with Lockheed Martin, was the extent of its indigenous combat aircraft experience. Building a twin-engine, stealth-influenced multi-role fighter from scratch was considered impossible by most defense analysts. Indonesia joined the program as a partner in 2010, contributing funding in exchange for technology transfer and production rights. Then Indonesia defaulted on its payments. The program continued without them. The South Korean government committed over 8 trillion won, approximately $6 billion, to see the project through. The first prototype, KF-21 No. 1, rolled out of the Sacheon facility in April 2021. The rollout was notable not just for what the aircraft was, but for what it revealed about South Korea's ambitions. The Boramae, which translates to Falcon or Hawk, was presented not as a regional fighter, but as a global competitor. Sleek, powerful, and undeniably modeled on the same stealth-shaping principles that define the F-22 and F-35. By July 2022, the KF-21 had made its first flight. It took off from the Sacheon airfield, climbed through the clouds, and returned 40 minutes later without incident. The flight test program has since accumulated over 2,000 sorties, pushing the aircraft to supersonic speeds, testing its radar, and validating its flight envelope. And then come the numbers. The performance figures the KF-21 has produced during its test phase are striking enough to redefine the aircraft's market position entirely. A top speed of Mach 1.81, faster than the F-35's Mach 1.6, a combat radius of approximately 750 miles, a service ceiling of over 50,000 feet, and a maximum takeoff weight of 25,600 kilograms, making it larger and more capable than the F-16, while remaining significantly cheaper to operate than the F-35. The radar is a domestically developed active electronically scanned array, an AESA radar, with over 1,000 transmit-receive modules. Developed by Hanwha Systems, it represents a capability that only a handful of nations have ever achieved independently. The electronic warfare suite is indigenous. The infrared search and track system is indigenous. The weapons, including the long-range air-to-air missile and the GPS-guided glide bomb, are Korean. The KF-21 is not an assembled collection of foreign components. It is a fundamentally Korean aircraft, built to Korean requirements and subject only to Korean export controls. Consider what this means for the export market. The F-35 is available only to a select group of allies who agree to strict conditions: no independent maintenance, no access to the most sensitive source code, and no ability to integrate third-party weapons without American approval. The KF-21 has none of those restrictions. Poland has already signed a letter of intent to acquire the KF-21. The United Arab Emirates is in discussions. Indonesia remains a partner despite its payment issues. And the list of nations that want advanced fighter capability but cannot afford the F-35's acquisition or sustainment costs is long: the Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Colombia, and more. The price is the most disruptive element of the KF-21 equation. Estimates place the per-unit cost between $50 and $65 million. That is approximately half the cost of an F-35 Alpha, the conventional takeoff variant, and roughly one-third the cost of an F-35 Bravo or Charlie. For nations building their air forces on a budget, that difference is the difference between fielding a squadron of stealth-capable fighters and fielding nothing at all. The KF-21's design includes an option for fully internal weapons bays in future production blocks. The current aircraft uses semi-recessed stations for its primary air-to-air weapons, preserving a reduced radar cross-section without the complexity and weight of fully enclosed bays. But the airframe is structurally designed to accommodate internal bays when the technology matures. The Baramai is not a finished product. It is a platform designed to evolve, and that evolution is already planned. Block 1 of the KF-21, currently in flight test, is an air-to-air focused platform with limited air-to-ground capability. It is designed to enter service with the Republic of Korea Air Force in 2026, replacing aging F-4 Phantoms and F-5 Tigers that have been in service since the Vietnam War. Block 2, scheduled for development beginning in the late 2020s, will introduce full air-to-ground capability in the fully internal weapons base. Block 2 will transform the KF-21 from an air superiority fighter into a true multi-role platform, capable of deep strike, close air support, and anti-ship missions. Block 3, currently in the concept phase, will introduce unmanned teaming capabilities, the ability to control loyal wingman-style drones that fly ahead of the manned fighter, absorbing risk, providing additional sensors, and carrying extra weapons. This is the same operational concept that the United States Air Force is developing for the Next Generation Air Dominance program, but the KF-21 is on track to achieve it at a fraction of the cost. None of this means the KF-21 is without risk. The aircraft is not yet in service. Its radar and electronic warfare systems, while advanced, have not been tested in combat. The supply chain for a domestically produced fighter is unproven at scale, and the aircraft's semi-recessed weapons configuration means its radar cross-section, while reduced, is not truly stealthy in the way the F-22 or F-35 are. But unlike the F-35, which required expensive hardware revisions whenever the threat environment changed, the KF-21 uses an open architecture that allows sensors, weapons, and software to be updated without redesigning the platform itself. Where the F-35 matured painfully in hardware, the KF-21 is designed to mature in code. The KF-21 Bormei does not operate alone. It is the centerpiece of a broader transformation in South Korean defense that also includes indigenous airborne early warning aircraft, Korean-made attack helicopters, and a domestic space launch capability. A future Korean air combat wing could see KF-21s carrying the strike element, FA-50 light fighters providing local air defense, and Korean-built drones extending the engagement range without risking a single additional pilot. All of this matters because the United States and its traditional allies have spent decades assuming that only American industry could produce fifth-generation fighters. They assume that the barriers to entry, the stealth expertise, sensor integration, and propulsion technology were simply too high for any other nation to clear. The KF-21 breaks every one of those assumptions. The first production aircraft are scheduled to enter service with the Republic of Korea Air Force by the end of 2026. The flight test program has already cleared supersonic flight, weapons separation, and radar performance validation. The production facility in Sicheon is tooled and ready, and KAI has already committed to expanding its export marketing efforts across Asia, the Middle East, and South America. The impossible fighter, the aircraft that was supposed to be too complex, too expensive, and too advanced for a nation with no prior fighter development experience, is becoming the standard. The fundamental insight that an aircraft combining advanced sensors, reduced observability, and affordable sustainment creates strategic independence that no amount of pure stealth can match will remain valid regardless of how the technology evolves. The KF-21 is the first full expression of that idea at operational scale, but it won't be the last. Because this isn't just a cheaper F-35, it's the moment the monopoly on fifth-generation fighter technology stops being absolute. For 2 decades, the F-35 has defined what it means to be a fifth-generation fighter. The United States F-35 is unlike any other fifth-generation fighter jet. Since the 1990s, this technological marvel has dominated the skies with its advanced technologies and unmatched capabilities, making it nearly unbeatable. But what really sets it apart is its remarkable ability to take off vertically. How does it achieve such impressive feats, and what makes this aircraft stand out from other fifth-generation jets? Join us as we reveal the amazing performance of the F-35, showing its incredible ability with a vertical takeoff. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, the development of the F-35 was deemed important because it introduced a new set of advanced systems that set a new standard in combat aircraft design. As part of the Joint Strike Fighter program, the F-35 was created to meet the specific needs of both the Navy and Air Force. Several international partners, including the United States, Italy, Denmark, Norway, and the Netherlands, were involved in the program. In the late 1990s, both Lockheed Martin and Boeing competed with their concept demonstrators, with Lockheed ultimately winning, leading to the development of a technological marvel, the F-35, the Lockheed Martin F-35. Lightning II is an American fighter jet with one seat and one engine, built for high speed and stealth missions. This aircraft is very unique because it can handle different roles, like air combat, striking ground targets, electronic warfare, and gathering intelligence. This aircraft is designed to reach exceptional speeds of Mach 1.6 or 1.6 times the speed of sound, even while carrying a full internal payload. With almost twice the internal fuel capacity of the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the F-35 has an extended combat radius. Due to its advanced weaponry, it is heavier than earlier lightweight fighters, with the lightest variant weighing over 29,000 pounds when empty. It comes in three versions: the conventional takeoff and landing F-35A, the short takeoff and vertical landing F-35B, and the carrier-based F-35C. One of the most significant upgrades in the F-35 is its advanced technology. Built using lessons from the F-22 Raptor, it features sophisticated sensors and avionics. Its open architecture allows for continuous updates and improvements over time. Amidst its mind-blowing features, this aircraft stands out for its ability to take off and land vertically. This unique feature allows it to operate from diverse locations like aircraft carriers, small airfields, and even urban areas, making it highly adaptable. The F-35 ability to take off and land vertically relies on its powerful engine and a special lift fan. Located at the rear, this lift fan is powered by the same engine that propels the aircraft forward. When activated, the fan pushes air downwards, generating enough lift to allow vertical takeoff. Here's how it works. The pilot activates the lift fan, which directs air downward to create an upward force. This, combined with the engine's thrust, lifts the aircraft vertically. Once it's airborne, the pilot shifts from vertical to horizontal flight. This vertical takeoff capability offers many advantages. The F-35 can launch from a wide range of locations, including small airfields and aircraft carriers, giving it great operational flexibility. It also doesn't need a long runway, reducing the need for infrastructure. Additionally, it can operate in remote or dangerous areas, making it harder for enemies to target. While this capability is quite impressive, this aircraft's design is also intriguing. Let's explore the features of this fight-generation masterpiece. Stealth is a huge part of the F-35 design. To stay hidden from its enemies, the jet's body is carefully shaped, with smooth curves and aligned edges to deflect radar waves, and it's coated with radar-absorbent materials. Its unique air intake design, called the diverterless supersonic inlet, keeps the engine hidden from radar while letting air in efficiently. This stealth setup makes the F-35 appear as small as a golf ball on radar at certain angles, and can sometimes even rival the stealth of the F-22. The aircraft also uses special coatings that are more durable than older stealth jets, meaning they need less upkeep. It has reduced infrared and visual signatures and tightly controls radio signals to avoid detection. The F-35 is primarily stealthy against high-frequency radar, though low-frequency radars can still detect it. But those are less precise and easier to spot. This technological marvel can also attach special reflectors to make itself visible when needed. However, there is one area where the F-35 falls short: its noise. At bases in places like Arizona and Florida, the sound has raised concerns. While its noise level is similar to older jets like the F-16, the F-35 lower frequency rumble is more noticeable. Some studies suggest its noise isn't much louder than the F-16 or F/A-18, but the deeper vibrations are easier to feel, making it stand out more. Despite this, the F-35 mission systems are among its most impressive features, showcasing cutting-edge technology that greatly enhances its performance. Bringing together a complex mix of sensors and software, these systems provide pilots with a powerful edge in battle. From radar to electronic warfare and advanced targeting cameras, every component works seamlessly to offer a complete view of the battlefield, boosting the pilot's awareness and ability to control missions in high-tech, networked warfare. The software behind this is huge, with over 8 million lines of code. Using common parts helps make updates easier and more affordable across the fleet. This high-level software, especially the parts that merge data from different sensors, took time to develop and caused some delays in the F-35 program. The F-35's radar and sensor systems are packed with advanced tech to help pilots see and respond to threats quickly and accurately. The APG-81 radar can track multiple targets over 150 kilometers away and is angled for stealth. Working with it is the AAQ-37 DAS, which uses 6 infrared sensors to give a full 360-degree view, alerting the pilot to incoming missiles and providing infrared night vision directly to their helmet. The ASQ-239 Barracuda electronic warfare system adds even more defense, with 10 antennas around the jet for warning and jamming enemy radars. This system also helps pilots pinpoint threats and deploy countermeasures. The AAQ-40 EOTS under the jet's nose enables laser targeting and long-range infrared tracking, while the ASQ-242 CNI suite allows the F-35 to send information to other planes without compromising stealth. The F-35 is built to upgrade over time, with improvements like the upcoming Technology Refresh 3, which adds a faster processor and better display. Future upgrades include a new radar, the APG-85, and possibly an advanced EOTS. The F-35 could even direct unmanned drones in the future, coordinating attacks using its advanced sensors and communications. Let's move on to where the action is: the cockpit. The F-35 cockpit is designed to keep the pilot fully aware and in control. It features a large 20 by 80-inch touchscreen display showing flight data, weapons, communications, and alerts, which the pilot can arrange to their preference. A smaller screen below acts as a backup. Instead of a traditional head-up display, important flight and combat info appears on the pilot's helmet visor. The cockpit includes voice control, a one-piece tinted canopy with a strong internal frame, and a Martin Baker ejection seat with a twin catapult system for emergencies. The F-35 has a side stick and throttle setup, and for life support, it has an onboard oxygen generation system powered by the jet's main power system, with extra oxygen available for emergencies. The helmet display is a standout feature, putting crucial flight and combat info right on the pilot's visor so they can see it no matter where they're looking. This helmet, called the HMDS, even shows infrared and night vision images, letting the pilot see through the jet itself. With the HMDS, pilots can target and fire missiles at objects without needing to face directly toward them. Each helmet costs a hefty $400,000 and is a bit heavier than standard helmets, which raises safety concerns for lighter pilots during ejection. The helmet's early versions had issues like shaking, blurry vision, and night vision problems. To address this, Lockheed Martin and Elbit considered a backup helmet, working with BAE Systems to develop one in 2011. However, after improvements to the HMDS, the backup plan was dropped in 2013. By 2016, a Gen 3 version of the helmet was introduced with better night vision, clearer displays, auto alignment, and software upgrades. To keep its stealthy shape, the F-35 stores weapons inside 2 internal bays, each with 2 stations. The outer stations can hold larger weapons, up to 2,500 pounds for most versions, or 1,500 pounds for the F-35B. These stations can carry powerful bombs and missiles like JDAMs, paveway bombs, and joint standoff weapons. They can also hold several smaller bombs, like the GBU-39 small-diameter bomb, with up to 4 per station for the F-35A and F-35C, and 3 for the F-35B. The inner stations are for air-to-air missiles, like the AIM-120 AMRAAM, and in the future, the AIM-260 JATMR. As of October 2023, The F-35A can also carry the B-61 Mod 12 nuclear bomb. Behind the weapon bays, the F-35 has compartments for countermeasures like flares, chaff, and decoys, adding extra protection during missions. When the F-35 doesn't need stealth, it can carry more weapons on 6 external stations. The wingtip pylons each hold an AIM-9X or AIM-132 ASRAAM missile, angled to keep the aircraft's radar profile low. Each wing also has larger stations that can carry heavier air-to-surface missiles, like the AGM-158 JSSM and LRASO cruise missiles. With internal and external stations, the F-35 can load up to 8 AIM-120 air-to-air missiles and 2 AIM-9s, or a combination of bombs and missiles for ground and air targets. The F-35A has a 25mm GAU-22/A rotary cannon inside the left wing root, ideal for ground targets and more powerful than other USAF fighter guns. The F-35B and F-35C versions use a special multi-mission pod for the gun, which can also carry equipment for different roles like electronic warfare and reconnaissance. Future upgrades are underway. A sidekick rack will boost the internal missile capacity, and new Block 4 improvements will let the F-35B carry more bombs. The aircraft may also integrate new weapons like the AGM-88G AAR-GMER, hypersonic missiles, and even laser weapons. The USAF plans for the F-35A to handle close air support missions, especially in tough contested areas. Despite some critics saying it's not as good as a specialized attack plane, USAF Chief Mark Welsh emphasized the need for effective weapons in CAS roles. This includes guided rockets, fragmentation rockets that break into many small projectiles before hitting, and smaller ammo for gun pods with higher capacity. Fragmentation rockets are particularly powerful, delivering a 1,000-round burst that creates more impact than a traditional strafing run. The F-35 is powered by a single Pratt & Whitney F-135 low-bypass augmented turbofan engine. It produces 28,000 pounds of thrust at military power and 43,000 pounds with the afterburner engaged. The F-135 is based on the F-22's F-119 engine, but features a larger fan and higher bypass ratio, improving subsonic thrust and fuel efficiency. Unlike the F-119, the F-135 is not designed for supercruise. A key feature of the F-135 is its stealthy afterburner, which incorporates special fuel injectors and curved vanes covered in ceramic radar-absorbing materials. These features help hide the turbine from enemy detection. During its early development, the afterburner experienced issues with pressure pulsations, or screech, at low altitudes and high speeds. The engine's low observable nozzle has 15 partially overlapping flaps that create a sawtooth pattern at the trailing edge. This design reduces the aircraft's radar signature and also creates vortices that lower the infrared signature of the exhaust plume. Due to the engine's large size, the U.S. Navy had to adjust its underway replenishment system to ensure the F-35 could be supported during at-sea logistics. The F-35 integrated power package combines multiple systems into one, handling power and thermal management, as well as the environment control, auxiliary power unit, engine starting, and other essential functions. The F-135 PW600 engine for the F-35B includes a shaft-driven lift fan that enables the aircraft to take off and land vertically. This system, developed by Lockheed Martin and Rolls-Royce, includes the lift fan, a drive shaft, 2 roll posts, and a unique 3-bearing swivel module, or the 3BSM. The 3BSM nozzle has 3 bearings shaped like a short cylinder, and as the motor spins the edges, the nozzle swivels from a straight line to a perpendicular position. This allows the engine's exhaust to be directed downward at the rear of the plane, providing vertical thrust. The nozzle is moved by a fuel-hydraulic actuator, which uses pressurized fuel for movement. Unlike the Harrier, which relies entirely on engine thrust for lift, the F-35B combines the nozzle's thrust with the lift fan. The fan is powered by the engine's low-pressure turbine through a drive shaft and is located near the front of the plane to balance out the force from the nozzle. For roll control during slow flight, the F-35B uses roll posts mounted on the wings that direct engine bypass air to help steer the plane. In the 1990s and 2000, an alternative engine for the F-35, the General Electric/Allison/Rolls-Royce F-136 was being developed. The F-136 was based on the General Electric YF-120 engine and was said to have a higher temperature tolerance than the F-135 due to its design, which made better use of the engine's airflow. However, the F-136 project was canceled in December 2011 due to a lack of funding. The F-35 is expected to receive engine upgrades over time to meet new threats and improve performance. In 2016, the Adaptive Engine Transition Program was launched to explore adaptive cycle engines with the goal of re-engineering the F-35. By 2016, both General Electric and Pratt & Whitney received contracts to develop 45,000-pound forced thrust engines, called XA-100 and XA-101. While these new engines could potentially replace the F-35 current engine, Pratt & Whitney is also improving the F-135 with the engine core upgrade, which enhances thrust, fuel efficiency, and cooling capacity by 5% and 50% respectively to support future upgrades. In 2023, the USAF chose the F-135 ECU over the AETP engines due to concerns about the cost and risks of the XA-100, even though it could have entered service by 2027. One thing that gives the aircraft an edge over other airfighters is that it is designed to be easier to maintain than older stealth aircraft. About 95% of the parts that can be replaced in the field are accessible with just one step, meaning nothing else needs to be taken out to reach the part. For example, the ejection seat can be replaced without having to remove the canopy. The F-35 also uses a radar-absorbing material that is stronger, easier to handle, and dries faster than older coatings. This new material could be used on other stealth aircraft, like the F-22, to help improve durability. The F-35 skin is designed to reduce corrosion, using better filler and drainage than the F-22. The flight control system is powered by electro-hydrostatic actuators instead of traditional hydraulic systems, and lithium-ion batteries can take over in emergencies. The USMC's first aircraft maintenance field training detachment used the lessons from the USAF to improve their F-35 operations by taking advantage of the common features across all variants. The F-35 was originally supported by a system called ALICE, which was meant to track parts and allow any F-35 to be serviced anywhere. However, ALICE faced many problems, like unreliable diagnoses and security issues. As a result, it's being replaced by Odin, a more efficient, cloud-based system. Odin started replacing ALICE at various military bases in 2020, and by 2022, multiple sites had transitioned to Odin. The new system performs twice as well as ALICE, offering improved reliability and efficiency. While the F-35 Lightning II is still considered one of the most powerful fighters in the world, the U.S. Air Force is already planning ahead with its next-generation air dominance program. Although there's no exact definition for fifth-generation aircraft, experts agree that stealth is a key feature. While the F-35 is expected to remain a dominant force in the skies for many years, the U.S. Air Force is already focusing on its next-generation strategy. First envisioned in 2014, the NGAD Next Generation Air Dominance Program aims to ensure continued air superiority. The fighter's design will center on 5 key technologies: advanced weapons, stealth, digital design, propulsion, and thermal management. Although the exact definition of 6th-generation technology is still unclear, the features that would be included in the NGAD program are expected to surpass the capabilities of current 5th-generation fighters. One of the most significant changes will be the integration of artificial intelligence and unmanned aerial vehicles into the NGAD. These unmanned systems are expected to work alongside a 6th-generation fighter jet, creating a more dynamic and flexible combat force. In fact, the United States Air Force is moving away from the traditional idea that a fighter jet must always be a single crewed aircraft. This shift in thinking is also being explored in Beijing, where China is looking into similar concepts. Although the United States was the first to introduce a 5th-generation fighter, it may not be the first to deploy a 6th-generation successor in the skies. The Air Force has revealed that demonstrator NGAD aircraft are already taking to the skies, and a contract for its official development could be awarded within the next year. As reported by Breaking Defense, the Department of the Air Force issued a classified solicitation to industry for an engineering and manufacturing development contract for the next-generation air dominance platform, with plans to award the contract in 2024. Given the current security threats, launching the military's next-generation fighter program is crucial for maintaining America's air superiority. The United States' fifth-generation fighters have dominated the skies with their advanced capabilities. They have been unrivaled and undefeatable, taking charge as the world's most sophisticated fighters. However, a more cutting-edge fighter jet from Russia has challenged this claim, proving that the U.S. fifth generation is now unbeatable after all. This Russian fighter possesses advanced capabilities and lethal features that have shocked the United States Air Force. Is this Russian fighter formidable enough to take on one of the most advanced aircraft in the world? What are the capabilities of this fighter? Join us as we explore the designs and capabilities of the only fighter jet that can beat the F-35. On June 8th, Russia took a significant blow when Ukrainian forces hit a Su-57 fighter jet at Akbank Air Base, about 366 miles from the front line. This was the first time a fifth-generation fighter jet was destroyed in combat, which is especially surprising considering that the Su-57's main competitor, the F-35 Lightning II, has over 1,000 units built. The Su-57, known by NATO as the Felon, is a single-seat, twin-engine fighter designed for multiple roles. It's one of only 4 fifth-generation fighters in the world, alongside China's J-20 and the American F-22 and F-35, the latter being the Su-57's closest rival. Let's explore the designs and capabilities of the Su-57. The Su-57 Felon is built for air superiority, excelling in aerial combat as well as ground and maritime strikes. It's equipped to be one of the most advanced fighters in the world, but it faces tough competition from the F-35 Lightning II. It is a fifth-generation fighter jet, known for being Russia's first stealth aircraft in active service. It's designed to be versatile, capable of handling various missions, and focuses on stealth and high maneuverability in all directions. The plane also features large internal bays for carrying weapons and advanced sensors, including a radar system that allows for a high degree of automation. Sukhoi, the company behind the Su-57, looked at the F-22 Raptor as a model for creating a highly maneuverable stealth fighter. However, they aimed to fix some issues they saw in the F-22, such as its limited ability to use thrust vectoring to change direction and its small space for carrying weapons. They also felt the F-22 wasn't suitable for the multi-role missions needed by Russia, as it focused too much on air-to-air combat with fewer weapons. The aircraft has a wide, blended body with 2 engines placed far apart and includes movable horizontal and vertical stabilizers, with the vertical ones tilted for better stealth. The wings are shaped like a trapezoid and include flaps and other control surfaces to help with maneuverability. The plane also uses thrust vectoring to improve its agility and has special extensions on the wings to improve control at high angles and recover from stalls quickly if the thrust vectoring system fails. For braking in the air, the plane's ailerons move up while other control surfaces move down, and the vertical stabilizers turn inward to create more drag. The Su-57 is made from a combination of materials, with about 40% being aluminum and 18% titanium, but it also uses a lot of composite materials, making up about 75% of its outer surface and 22 to 26% of its structural weight. The Su-57 was designed to handle multiple roles. Unlike the F-35, it has a large internal space to carry various air-to-surface weapons. These weapons are stored in 2 main bays located between the engines, along with smaller side bays near the wings. Keeping the weapons inside the aircraft reduces drag, which improves performance and helps maintain its stealth features. It is highly maneuverable and stable in flight, thanks to its advanced flight control system and thrust vectoring nozzles that can direct the engine's thrust. This allows the jet to perform complex maneuvers like the Pugachev's Cobra and the Bell maneuver, as well as flat rotations without losing much altitude. The aircraft's design and powerful engines enable it to reach speeds of Mach 2 and fly at supersonic speeds without using afterburners at Mach 1.3. This gives it a significant advantage in range and speed over older aircraft models. The Su-57 can fly over 1,500 kilometers at supersonic speeds, which is more than twice the range of the Su-27. It also has an extendable refueling probe to further increase its range. While the F-35 is a single-engine aircraft, the Su-57 packs 2 powerful fire spitters in its rear. On the F-35 is the Pratt & Whitney F-135 low-bypass augmented turbofan that provides 43,000 pound force of thrust with afterburner, thrusting the jet to a top speed of Mach 1.6 to 20 slower than the Mach 2 top speed of the super cruise-capable Su-57 with afterburner engaged, thanks to a pair of NPO Lilka Southern Isdeli 117 engines that produce a combined thrust of over 63,000 pound force. But what the F-35 lacks in thrust, it seems to make up for in engine stealth. The engine on the F-35 has a low observable afterburner that incorporates fuel injectors into thick curved vanes. These vanes are covered by ceramic radar-absorbent materials and mask the turbine. Its low observable axis-symmetric nozzle consists of 15 partially overlapping flaps that create a sawtooth pattern at the trailing edge, which reduces radar signature and creates shed vortices that reduce the infrared signature of the exhaust plume. The F-135 PW600 engine for the F-35B, a variant of the F-35 designed for the U.S. Marines, supports short takeoff and vertical landing by incorporating a shaft-driven lift fan. This SDLF was designed by Lockheed Martin and developed by Rolls-Royce as a key technology for the F-35, displaying the most impressive use case and performance. So much so that the system was awarded the prestigious Collier Trophy in 2001. The Su-57 is the first Russian military aircraft designed with a focus on stealth. To reduce its radar visibility, it uses several techniques similar to other stealth fighters like the F-22. The edges of the wings, control surfaces, and panels are carefully aligned and angled to minimize radar reflections. Weapons are stored inside the aircraft, and antennas are recessed to keep the stealthy shape intact. The aircraft is also coated with radar-absorbent material, or RAIM, to absorb radar signals and reduce the chances of detection. The entire fifth-generation class of aircraft is heavily dependent on stealth capabilities, so neither the F-35 nor the Su-57 is found lacking here. The American fighter was designed from the ground up with stealth in mind. Its manufacturer, Lockheed Martin, aligned its edges, serrated its skin panels, and masked the engine with easy-to-maintain fiber matte skin for low observability. They also reduced infrared and visual signatures, enabled the reflection of radar waves, and used strict controls of radio frequency emitters. The result is a radar cross-section lower than that of a metal golf ball. However, like other stealth aircraft, the Su-57's low observability is most effective against high-frequency radars, which are typically used by other aircraft. Low-frequency radars, such as those used for weather and early warning, are more likely to detect the Su-57 because of its size. But these radars are larger, more prone to interference, and less precise. To preserve their stealth profiles, both fighters by default carry their weapons internally, although they both have external hardpoints to carry weapons when stealth isn't the topmost priority. The F-35 has 4 internal hardpoints and 6 external hardpoints that combine to hold up to 18,000 pounds of weapons. These weapons are a combination of the most advanced American air-to-air missiles, air-to-surface missiles, and anti-ship missiles. It also wields conventional bombs such as the GBU-53/B Stormbreaker and nuclear bombs such as the B-61 Mod 12 nuclear bomb. For more rapid fire, the F-35 packs a 180-round, 25mm GAU-22/A4 barrel rotary cannon that fires 3,300 rounds per minute, which is far superior to the 1,500 rounds per minute of the 30mm Gryazev-Shipunov JISH-31 autocannon on the Su-57. There's a reason for this. The F-35, being a multi-role fighter, would be tasked with providing close air support to troops on the ground in a bid to replace the renowned A-10 Warthog. The Russian fighter has 6 internal hardpoints and 6 external hardpoints that combine to carry an estimated 16,500 pounds of weapons, slightly less than the weapons payload of the F-35. On its hardpoints is a combination of air-to-air missiles, air-to-surface missiles, anti-ship missiles, anti-radiation missiles, and conventional bombs. It's unclear if the Su-57 would be able to wield nuclear weapons like the F-35 can. The Su-57 takes things further with thrust vector control. The engine nozzles can rotate to direct thrust in different directions, allowing the jet to execute complex maneuvers in pitch, yaw, and roll. This level of control, first seen in earlier Sukhoi models like the Su-30 MKI and Su-35S, makes the Su-57 incredibly agile, capable of feats that seem to defy the laws of physics. The engines also include variable intake ramps for efficiency at supersonic speeds and retractable screens to protect against debris when taking off from rough runways. However, the AL-41F1 engines haven't been without controversy. In 2011, a Su-57 had to abort takeoff due to a compressor stall during the Moscow Air Show, raising concerns about reliability. Looking to the future, the Su-57M is set to receive an even more advanced engine, the AL-51F1, by the mid-2020s. This new engine, designated as Izdeli-30 during development, will provide even more thrust, which is up to 37,500 pounds in afterburner, while also being more reliable and stealthier, thanks to innovations like glass fiber plastic components and a new nozzle design with serrated flaps. As if that weren't enough, by 2023, reports surfaced that UEC Saturn is working on a sixth-generation engine design for the Su-57, pushing the boundaries of what this fighter jet can achieve. By December 2023, all new Su-57s delivered to the Russian Air Force will be equipped with this advanced Stage 2 engine, setting a new standard for power and performance in military aviation. The Su-57 is equipped with two main internal weapon bays, each about 14.4 feet long and 3 feet wide, and two smaller side weapon bays near the wing roots. The main bays are fitted with launchers that can handle different types of missiles. The UVKU-50L launcher for missiles up to 660 pounds, and the UVKU-50U for those up to 1,500 pounds. The side bays use VPU-50 launch rails. For air combat, the Su-57 can carry 4 long-range missiles in the main bays and 2 short-range missiles in the side bays. The primary medium-range missile is the R-77M, an advanced version of the R-77 with improved radar guidance and a dual-pulse motor. For close-range combat, it uses the R-74M2, a heat-seeking missile designed to fit inside the aircraft. There's also a new short-range missile, the KAMD, in development to eventually replace the R-74M2. For longer-range missions, the Su-57 can carry the Izdeli-810 missile, an upgraded version of the R-37M. For striking ground and sea targets, the Su-57 can carry precision-guided bombs like the KB-250 and KB-500, as well as a variety of missiles including the KH-38 for air-to-ground attacks, the KH-35U anti-ship missile, the KH-58 USHK anti-radiation missile, and the KH-69 cruise missile. When stealth is not a priority, the aircraft can also carry weapons on 6 external hardpoints. Additionally, a new hypersonic missile similar to the KH-47M2 Kinzhal is being developed for internal carriage within the Su-57. The Su-57 also features a 30mm autocannon mounted inside the aircraft near the right wing root. This cannon has an effective range of about 870 yards against aerial targets and 2,000 yards against ground targets. One main feature of the aircraft is a modern glass cockpit without any old-style analog gauges. Instead, it displays information on 2 large 15-inch multifunctional LCD screens, similar to the setup in the Su-35S. Additionally, there is a smaller multifunctional display and a digital control panel. The cockpit includes a wide-angle head-up display that gives the pilot key information directly in their line of sight. The primary controls are a joystick and a pair of throttles, with major functions managed through a hands-on throttle and stick system. The aircraft's canopy is made of 2 parts, with the rear section sliding forward to lock into place. This canopy is coated with a special material to reduce the plane's radar visibility. For pilot safety and comfort, the Su-57 uses the NPP Zvezda K-Kuyo with 36D5 ejection seat and the SOG-50 life support system, which includes anti-G protection and an oxygen generation system. The pilot wears a Zeiss AH-10B helmet equipped with a digital display that tracks eye movements, helping to target enemies even at high angles. The oxygen system provides an unlimited supply during flight. The life support system allows the pilot to perform intense 9G maneuvers for up to 30 seconds. The ejection seat, along with the PPK-7 flight suit, ensures safe ejection at altitudes ranging from ground level to 66,000 feet and speeds up to 810 miles per hour. The system also includes a survival kit to help the pilot after ejection. Both the F-35 Lightning II and the Su-57 are fitted with the most advanced avionics and armament their respective countries have to offer. For the F-35, the AN/APG-81, Active Electronically Scanned Array Radar, AON/ASQ-239, Barracuda Electronic Warfare System, AN/AAQ-37 Distributed Aperture System, AON/AAQ-40 Electro-Optical Targeting System, and AN/ANQ-242 Communications, Navigation, and Identification Suite, all combined to provide rapid beam agility, multiple operational modes, all-aspect missile launch and target tracking, 10 radio frequency antennas, all-aspect radar warning receiver, self-defense against missiles, the detection and jamming of hostile radars, laser targeting, forward-looking infrared capabilities, long-range IRRS functions, and an impossible level of sensor fusion to give the pilot and friendlies an omnipresent tactical picture of the battle space without compromising stealth. All of these are made possible by software running on a shocking 86 million lines of code, which is more than double the 4 million lines of the Su-57's code. But this isn't a coding competition, and in terms of avionics, the Su-57 has its own statement to make. Its Central Integrated Management System fuses all the data from the SH-121 radar and electronic warfare radio electronic system, the 101KS electro-optical system, multiple, the NO-36 radar DAR-101, X-band, active electronically scanned array radar, and two, the NO-36 radar L-band transceivers for friend or foe identification and electronic warfare. This allows for the total integration of avionics systems, maximization of pilots' situational awareness, and reduced workload. Still, the priority for the Su-57 is air superiority, and thus it has fewer avionics systems than the multi-role F-35. Unlike the F-35, the Russian fighter has the PAK-FA program. One of the main technical goals of the PAK-FA program is to fully integrate the Su-57's avionics systems, or sensor fusion, to improve the pilot's awareness of the surroundings and reduce their workload. The integration of these systems is managed by an information management system developed by GRPZ from Ryazan. The key systems include the Sh-121 Multifunctional Integrated Radio Electronic System and the 101KS Atoll Electro-Optical System. Unlike earlier Sukhoi aircraft, Sukhoi itself handled the integration of the IUS, rather than relying on RPKB of Armenskia. The Integrated Avionics Suite, known as IMABK, uses fiber optic channels and runs on over 4 million lines of code. The Sh-121 system includes the NO-36 Bielka radar system and the L-402 Himalayas electronic countermeasure system. The NO-36 radar, developed by Tikhomarov NIIP Institute, features a main nose-mounted X-band radar with 1,114 modules and two side-looking X-band radars with 404 modules each, providing wider coverage. The radar antennas are tilted back for stealth purposes. The side radars allow the Su-57 to guide its own missiles while performing evasive maneuvers. The system also has L-band transceivers on the wing edges, which help with identifying friend or foe in electronic warfare. The L-402 Himalayas ECM suite works with both its own arrays and the NO-36 radar system, with one array located between the engines. Communication and data exchange between aircraft and command centers are managed by the S-111 system. The 101KS Atoll Electro-Optical System includes various sensors like the 101KSV Infrared Search and Track, 101KSO Directional Infrared Countermeasures, and others for navigation and targeting. The URST is mounted near the cockpit and can track multiple targets, while the DORS-EM system, a first for a fighter aircraft, has turrets mounted on the aircraft to protect against incoming missiles. The Su-57 can also deploy countermeasures like flares and radar decoys from dispensers in the tailboom. For navigation, the Su-57 uses the BINS SP2M inertial navigation system, which can work with GLONASS and is controlled by the IVS-50 computing system. KRET, the developer, announced in 2016 that it is working on a video processing system called Okhotnik to improve target detection and tracking. The aircraft also has a monitoring system that can predict the lifespan of its composite parts, making maintenance more efficient. Additionally, the Su-57 could be used to test advanced AI and unmanned teaming technologies for future fighter programs, and it has even demonstrated autonomous flight without pilot input. It is important to note that over 1,000 F-35s have been built since 2006. While Russia struggles to build a Su-57 in any significant numbers, only 32 units of the fighter have been built since 2009, many of which can't currently take to the skies to protect their nation. And the ones that can are apparently being picked off and destroyed in the Ukraine war. The war has also reportedly slowed down the already slow production of the Russian fighter. So in a battle between the F-35 and Su-57, it'll be a case of entire colonies of hundreds of F-35s up against 24 Su-57s. It would be an unfair fight, and regardless of their capabilities, the winner can be seen before a single shot is fired. The F-35 is more than just a fighter jet. Designed to meet the diverse needs of the United States military and its allies, the F-30 Lightning II is definitely a major leap in terms of stealth, versatility, and cutting-edge technology. However, recent news about a new prototype has sparked global buzz, and aviation fans everywhere are curious. Is the US secretly testing a more advanced version of the F-35? And what makes this aircraft one of the best fighters in the world? Join us as we unveil the shocking capabilities of the United States' top-secret F-35. The F-35 is often seen as a sleek and high-tech fighter jet designed with a strong focus on stealth and precise, targeted missions. This reputation is mostly accurate. The F-35 belongs to the fifth generation of fighter aircraft, equipped with advanced software that improves how it shares data and connects with other systems. It plays a vital role in modern air forces due to these cutting-edge capabilities. Lately, there's also been buzz about a rumored new version of the F-35 that President Donald Trump recently mentioned. According to Trump, this version, called the F-55, would feature two engines and be a much more powerful upgrade over the current F-35. He also spoke about an F-22 Super version of the Raptor jet. But the question remains, how true are the rumors of these interesting upgrades? Let's get into it. Back in the year 2000, if someone had claimed they could build a fighter jet that was stealthy, could take off and land vertically, and fly faster than the speed of sound, most experts would have said it was impossible. According to Tom Burbidge, who led Lockheed Martin's program from 2000 to 2013, the idea of putting all those high-tech features into one aircraft seemed out of reach at the time. Thanks to technological evolution, nothing is impossible. The fighter jet was designed to meet the needs of several military branches by combining advanced features into a single, powerful aircraft. The goal was to make it easier for different forces to share parts, training, and maintenance routines, while still having a jet that could perform well in many types of missions. It was also built to include stealth technologies first used in the F-22 Raptor. Now, Lockheed Martin is planning to take the aircraft to a whole new level. Imagine a future where F-35 fighter jets don't even need pilots to fly them, where these planes can carry out missions all on their own, smarter and stealthier than ever before. That future might be coming sooner than you think. Lockheed Martin is working hard to keep the F-35 jets powerful and useful for many years by adding new technology and upgrades inspired by their latest, most advanced fighter jet program. Even though Lockheed didn't win the competition to build the brand new sixth-generation fighter for the US Air Force, the company learned a lot. They are now using that knowledge and technology to improve the F-35. These upgrades, sometimes called the Ferrari or NASCAR upgrade, could give the F-35 new coatings and better systems while keeping the same basic shape or chassis of the aircraft. The company believes this could make the F-35 almost as capable as a sixth-generation fighter, but for much less money. But whether this bold claim is true still remains to be seen. Lockheed Martin's CEO, Jim Taiclet, recently spoke about these plans at a big industry conference. He said that within 2 or 3 years, the world might see important improvements in the F-35's abilities as some of the new technologies from the sixth-generation program are added. The Air Force has already chosen Boeing's new design, called the F-47, as its next top fighter. But Lockheed isn't giving up on the F-35. One challenge is that upgrades can't just be thrown in all at once. Taiclet explained that any new equipment or software must be added carefully over time so they don't interrupt the steady production of the jets. This slow, steady approach will keep the F-35 flying without delays. Some of the exciting upgrades being considered include new types of coatings on the plane's surface. These new coatings could help the F-35 become even stealthier by better hiding it from enemy radar and heat sensors. The U.S. military has been secretly testing shiny, mirror-like coatings on F-35s and other stealth fighters like the F-22 Raptor and the older F-117 Nighthawk. These coatings make it harder for enemies to spot the jets, giving pilots a big advantage in combat. Besides the upgrades, Lockheed Martin revealed that interest in the F-35 remains very strong worldwide, and even hinted that new countries might soon join the club of F-35 users, with places like Saudi Arabia and India possibly buying the jet in the future. Jim also recently shared some exciting ideas about possible big changes coming to the F-35 fighter jet. He mentioned that the company is looking at ways to improve the very shape and core parts of the jet, things like the engine air intakes and exhaust nozzles. These parts are very important for stealth fighters like the F-35 because they affect how easily enemy radar can spot the aircraft. The F-35's backside, especially around the engine exhaust, is known to be a weak spot when it comes to stealth. If Lockheed can improve this area, it would make the jet even harder to detect by enemy radar systems, which are becoming more advanced and dangerous. Even small improvements to the jet's shape could make a big difference in helping the F-35 stay hidden in the skies. But these aren't the only upgrades being considered. Jim also talked about other important advances, including electronic warfare, better networking between aircraft, and even adding more autonomous features to the F-35. Autonomy, or the ability of the jet to fly and fight on its own without a pilot, is especially exciting. He said this is a really critical area and believes that a pilot-optional version of the F-35 might be possible within a relatively short time. While Tychlet didn't go into all the technical details about how they would make the F-35 pilot optional, it seems doable. The F-35 already has advanced digital systems and an open, flexible computer setup that makes adding new technology easier. This means Lockheed Martin could potentially design a version of the F-35 that can fly missions by itself or with a pilot on board, depending on the need. However, it's still unclear how useful this pilotless version would be. The idea of sending a jet into dangerous places without risking a pilot is appealing, but there are questions about how much benefit this would actually bring in real combat situations. Meanwhile, the F-35 is already scheduled to get big improvements in electronic warfare, the technology used to jam enemy radars and communications, as part of its upcoming Block 4 upgrade package. This package will bring new weapons, better sensors, and stronger software to the jet, keeping it up to date with modern threats. But high-tech systems alone don't make the F-35 a top-tier jet. Its core design also plays a major role in its success. The F-35 was built to be stealthy from the start. Its shape and materials help it avoid radar detection, making it harder for enemies to track and attack it. It uses one powerful F-135 engine that can push the aircraft to speeds up to Mach 1.6. When the afterburner is turned on, the engine produces 40,000 pounds of thrust. This gives the F-35 the speed and strength it needs in combat. Inside the F-35, the cockpit has been redesigned to feel more like modern technology than older fighter jets. Instead of using lots of buttons, switches, and gauges, it features large touchscreens that are easier to read and operate. One of its most advanced features is the helmet-mounted display system, which gives the pilot real-time information right in the helmet visor. This system also allows the pilot to see through the aircraft using a set of 6 infrared cameras placed around the plane, known as the Distributed Aperture System. This gives the pilot a full view of the surroundings, improving safety and awareness in combat. Despite facing challenges and doubts during its development, the F-35 has become one of the most advanced and capable fighter jets in the world today. With its stealth, speed, powerful weapons, and high-tech cockpit, it shows how far military aircraft design has come in combining versatility with cutting-edge technology. However, this view tends to overlook one of the F-35's greatest strengths: its flexibility. Many people don't realize that this aircraft is not limited to stealth missions alone. It is actually a multi-role fighter, meaning it can perform different types of missions depending on what is needed. One of the most surprising features of the F-35 is its ability to switch roles and carry a much heavier weapons load. This transformation is referred to as going into beast mode. In beast mode, the F-35 puts aside its focus on being hard to detect and instead takes on a more aggressive form. It loads up with weapons on both internal and external points, sacrificing some stealth in exchange for sheer firepower. This makes the jet look less like a secretive hunter and more like a powerful, heavy-hitting warplane. This mode is especially useful when the goal is not to sneak into enemy airspace, but to overpower it. By design, the F-35 is built to carry out missions in dangerous and contested areas where the enemy has strong defenses. Its stealth features allow it to slip in, strike, and get out before being detected. In fact, one of its main jobs is to gain control of the skies at the very start of a conflict. To maintain this stealth, the F-35 normally carries its weapons in an internal bay hidden within the body of the aircraft. This helps keep its radar signature low and makes it harder to spot. However, there's a trade-off. The internal space is limited, so the number of weapons it can carry in stealth mode is restricted. That's where beast mode becomes valuable. Once the enemy's air defenses are weakened or gone, the F-35 can switch to carrying weapons externally, adding more firepower and expanding its role in the battle. The F-35 is famous for being stealthy, especially when it carries its weapons inside the jet's body. In this mode, known as stealth mode, it's very hard to detect on radar. However, this stealth comes at a cost: limited firepower. In stealth mode, the F-35 can only carry 5,700 pounds of weapons. The smaller load helps the plane stay hidden from enemy radar. But once the skies are clear, meaning enemy air defenses, radar systems, and enemy jets are gone, stealth is no longer as important. That's when the F-35 can switch to beast mode. In this mode, it's no longer trying to stay invisible. Instead, it carries a full load of weapons both inside and outside its body, making it a flying powerhouse. While beast mode gives the F-35 serious firepower, there is one drawback. The jet becomes easier to spot on radar, and its range drops to around 9,400 kilometers, about half of what it can do in stealth mode. At first, using a high-tech, fifth-generation fighter like the F-35 as a simple bomb truck might sound odd. After all, older aircraft like the F-16 or B-52 were made for that kind of mission. But when you think about the cost of the F-35 program, about $1.7 trillion, it makes sense to get as much use out of the jet as possible. The F-35 isn't just a stealth fighter for day-one missions. The U.S. military often finds itself in long, drawn-out missions, not just quick airstrikes. After the early days of a war, when air defenses are gone, the jet still needs to carry out missions like ground attacks and support. In those moments, the ability to enter beast mode becomes valuable. So while the F-35 is one of the most advanced fighter jets ever built, it's also flexible. It can sneak into enemy territory without being seen or, when needed, show its full strength and carry a massive amount of weapons. Beast mode shows that the F-35 isn't just a high-tech marvel, it's also a tough and ready fighter that can handle many different missions. Jim Taiclet recently talked about exciting plans to bring new technology from the next-generation fighter program, called NGAD, into the F-35 jet. This could include adding new weapons that are being developed for the more advanced sixth-generation fighter. These upgrades would help make the F-35 even stronger and more advanced. Taiclet described the idea of turning the F-35 into a 5th-gen plus version, meaning it would be much better than the current model but not quite as advanced as a full 6th-generation fighter. This idea isn't new. Taiclet first mentioned it back in April after Boeing won the NGAD competition with their new F-47 fighter. Back then, he called the plan a Ferrari or NASCAR upgrade, meaning the F-35 could get a big performance boost without needing a full redesign. What makes this plan really interesting is Taiclet's goal to deliver about 80% of the capability of a 6th-generation fighter, but at only half the cost. This would be a huge deal because building and operating new fighter jets is very expensive. Getting most of the benefits for much less money could change the way the military buys and uses fighter jets. At a recent conference, Taiclet repeated this 80% capability at 50% cost target, saying Lockheed Martin is actively working on it and has already shared some ideas with the US government. While this is an ambitious goal, the company is serious about trying to make it happen. There are also plans in place for similar upgrades for the F-22 Raptor. The F-22 is already one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world and is set to get some important improvements soon. These include a new infrared defensive system to better protect the plane, better sensors, and stealthy fuel tanks that make the jet harder to spot by enemy radar. The work on upgrading the F-22 has also helped the company learn and develop new tech that feeds into the NGAD program. Many aviation enthusiasts often wonder which aircraft would win an aerial encounter, the F-22 or the F-35. In a past interview, retired Marine Corps officer and combat pilot David Burke shared his insights with the national interest, offering a closer look at this much-debated topic. His experience is unique. Burke flew FA-18 in combat zones, trained with F-22 Raptors, and even became the first operational pilot of the F-35B, leading the Marine Corps' first F-35 squadron from 2012 to 2014. The F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II are both advanced fifth-generation fighters, but they were designed with different goals in mind. The F-35 is a single-seat, single-engine stealth fighter built for multi-role operations. In contrast, the F-22 is a twin-engine air superiority fighter built specifically for one job: to dominate the skies. In terms of stealth, the F-22 is considered the stealthiest fighter ever built, with a smaller radar signature than the F-35. When it comes to aerial combat, particularly dogfighting, the Raptor is unmatched. That's because it was purpose-built for air dominance, with super maneuverability, extreme speed, and high-altitude performance. The F-35 was never intended to match those traits. As Burke and other analysts have pointed out, the F-35's strength lies in its sensors, stealth, and multi-role capability. It's an advanced strike aircraft designed to survive in contested environments, not an air superiority jet. In fact, its aerodynamic performance is often compared to the F-16, not the F-22. Still, that doesn't mean the F-35 is weak. Against non-stealthy aircraft, it performs well, especially thanks to its advanced radar, electronic warfare systems, and sensor fusion. During large-scale battles, the Air Force expects F-35s to fill in the gaps between waves of Raptors, offering vital support and striking power. Veteran Marine Corps pilot David Burke even referred to the F-35 as the most prolific fifth-generation aircraft in the world. One of the key advantages is its information capacity. It's not just about flying fast or staying hidden. The F-35 can gather, process, and share information like no other fighter. That alone gives it a battlefield advantage. The jet can collect data from across the RF spectrum, as well as from electro-optical, infrared, and laser sources. This wide range of sensing capabilities allows it to operate more effectively and across a larger area than any of its peers. But according to Burke, what truly sets the F-35 apart is not just its ability to gather data, but how it fuses and shares it. Unlike older aircraft that act mostly as standalone systems, the F-35 is part of a broader, connected network. It takes all the incoming data, processes it for accuracy and clarity, and shares it with other jets, sensors, or ground stations. This turns the F-35 into more than just a fighter. It becomes a key node in a larger information system, enhancing the situational awareness and effectiveness of an entire force. He compares its role to that of a quarterback, not just participating in the battle, but directing the play. The F-35 is designed to lead the fight, guiding other systems in the air and on the ground with real-time information. This gives commanders a clearer view of the battlefield and helps allied forces react faster and smarter than the enemy. Burke also stressed the aircraft's ability to operate in high-threat areas. Its stealth design, combined with anti-access and area denial capabilities, allows it to go where enemy defenses are strongest and still succeed. He said that the F-35 can fight in spaces where the enemy doesn't want us to be. Because of its strong sensing and sharing capabilities, the F-35 is also capable of operating independently when needed. It doesn't need to rely on support from other aircraft. Instead, it can pass on what it sees to others. even outside normal communication ranges. Burke, the only Marine to have flown both the F-22 and the F-35, concluded that the key question is not how much it costs, but what it delivers in return. In his view, the F-35's unique features and unmatched capabilities more than justify the investment. The F-35 might just be getting the biggest upgrade in modern fighter jet history. While most people think the future of air combat means building brand new sixth-generation fighters from scratch, Lockheed Martin is taking a completely different approach. Instead of starting over, they are pushing the F-35 to its absolute limits, adding cutting-edge technology that could rival jets that haven't even been built yet. What kind of firepower would the upgraded F-35 carry, and how do they give the United States an edge over other countries in battle? Join us as we dive into Lockheed Martin's plan and whether their evolution over revolution approach can actually work. In military aviation, there is always a debate: push for brand new tech or keep improving what already works. Lockheed Martin isn't sitting around talking about it. They are upgrading the F-35 to pack in features that edge it closer to sixth-generation fighter capabilities. It's a bold move that leans into evolution over reinvention. Interestingly, the company compares the F-35 to a NASCAR race car, not because it's flashy, but because it is being fine-tuned for peak performance. Instead of building something entirely new, they are squeezing every bit of potential out of a proven platform. The big question now is whether this strategy can hold up against next-gen competition, like Boeing's upcoming F-47. Boeing's F-47 is shaping up to be the Air Force's next big step in fighter jet development. It's part of the next-generation air dominance program, which has been focused on finding a replacement for the F-22 Raptor. This new aircraft is being built with air superiority in mind and could end up being the first sixth-generation fighter in the United States military. The Air Force is planning to acquire at least 185 units of the aircraft, with the final count subject to adjustments depending on funding and operational needs. Design targets include a combat radius of over 1,000 nautical miles, allowing for long-range strike missions and sustained patrol coverage. Projected top speed is set to exceed Mach 2, continuing the tradition of high-velocity performance seen in previous United States air superiority platforms. Despite this plan, the F-35's development kicked off in the mid-1990s under the Joint Strike Fighter program, which set out to build one aircraft that could handle missions across different branches of the military. The first prototype, called the X-35, flew for the first time in October 2000, showing that the concept had real potential. After that, it took another 5 years of engineering and testing before the first full production model, the F-35A, was ready to fly. That flight marked a major step forward, proving the program's goals could be met with a fully functional aircraft. From the start, the team behind the F-35 set out to build a flexible fighter jet that could take over for most of the United States military's existing aircraft, with different versions designed for each branch. Unlike the F-22 Raptor, which was built for a more specific role, the F-35 Lightning II got its name as a nod to the Lockheed P-38 Lightning from World War II, a way to link today's technology with a legacy of past innovation. The project also brought in a wide range of international partners, aiming to make the jet the most widely used fighter across global military forces. Lockheed Martin's plans for the F-35 have delivered strong results, with key milestones showing how widely the aircraft has been adopted. In early 2024, the company marked a major moment by finishing the 10,000th F-35 airframe. That figure highlights how much demand the jet has generated across military forces around the world. Fifth-generation fighters stand apart from earlier models not just because of their stealth-focused design, but because of the advanced computer systems running inside. The F-35 in particular is often described by engineers as a flying computer, thanks to the level of onboard processing power that drives its performance. If anyone asks around at Lockheed Martin about the toughest part of building the F-35, mission systems tend to come up first. That makes sense, considering the Block 3F software needed over 8 million lines of code just to run. The scale of that complexity becomes even clearer when looking at the upcoming Block 4 update, which pushes things even further in terms of computing power and system capability. The Block 4 upgrade is being rolled out in stages from the late 20s through the mid-30s to keep systems running smoothly and maintain full operational performance. The update adds a range of improvements to the F-35, including new weapons built for the platform, specialized armaments for international users, upgraded sensors for improved situational awareness, and the AN/APG-85 radar system with better detection and tracking capabilities. The upgrade also adds stronger electronic support systems to help the aircraft spot and respond to threats more effectively. Video data sharing has been improved to support better coordination with other units. One of the biggest changes is the shift to agile software development, which speeds up how updates and improvements are delivered compared to older methods. A major part of the Block 4 upgrade is Technology Refresh 3, or TR3. It brings faster processors and more memory to the F-35, making it better equipped to handle complex missions and advanced computing tasks. This update keeps the aircraft responsive and reliable under demanding conditions and sets the stage for future upgrades as mission needs and threats continue to evolve. Lockheed Martin is working on upgrades to the existing Pratt & Whitney F-135 engines used in the F-35 fleet, while also looking into adaptive engine technologies. These new systems are designed to change performance settings on the fly, depending on mission needs and operating conditions. The Adaptive Engine Transition Program, or AETP, was launched in 2016 to push development of next-generation propulsion systems. In 2018, Pratt & Whitney received contracts to build two experimental engines, the XA-101 and XA-100, each rated at 45,000 pounds of thrust. By 2021, the program had made solid progress toward changing how fighter aircraft engines are built and perform. The Adaptive Engine Initiative was restructured and rebranded as the Adaptive Engine Development Program, expanding its scope to cover a wider array of military aircraft instead of concentrating on just one. In 2022, the Air Force launched the F-35 Adaptive Engine Replacement Program to begin readying both the aircraft and its infrastructure for future integration of these advanced propulsion systems once they reach operational maturity. In 2023, military leadership chose to focus on upgrading the current F-135 engine through a program called the Engine Core Upgrade, or ECU, instead of moving forward with brand new engine designs right away. The Engine Core Upgrade brings notable gains in key performance areas, boosting thrust and fuel efficiency by 5% and improving cooling capacity by 50%. These changes are essential for meeting the demands of the Block 4 feature set. The upgraded cooling system is critical due to the increased heat produced by the advanced systems in Block 4. Without proper thermal management, extended missions could see reduced performance and reliability. The ECU method delivers immediate improvements while keeping the existing engine platform intact, sidestepping the risks tied to adopting entirely new propulsion technology. The Air Force has held off on swapping out the F-35's engines for the experimental XA-100 models from the adaptive engine programs. That doesn't rule out the possibility of upgrades later on, possibly in the 30s or 40s, once the technology is fully developed. For now, these adaptive engines are expected to first appear in the Next Generation Air Dominance Fighters, or NGAD. Designing those aircraft around the engines from the start makes it easier to fully integrate the new propulsion systems, rather than trying to retrofit them into platforms built for older technology. Before any new engines show up, the F-35 is expected to start working alongside a range of unmanned aerial vehicles that expand its role across different mission types. Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works is behind Project Carrera, which includes the Speed Racer drone. Each unit runs about $1 million and is built for advanced electronic warfare and reconnaissance. These drones are meant to operate in sync with manned fighters like the F-35, allowing one pilot to manage several platforms at once while still relying on human decision-making in high-stakes combat scenarios. Aerial combat is shifting toward integrated teams where F-35 jets operate with advanced unmanned systems to boost overall mission effectiveness. A key part of this setup is the Common Multi-Mission Truck, or CMMT. It's a low-cost cruise missile option priced around $150,000 per unit, with a range of more than 500 miles. This opens up new tactical options for mission planning and execution. Unmanned systems are changing the way aerial missions are carried out. A single F-35 will be able to control and coordinate up to 8 drones at once through AI-driven systems that handle real-time calculations and decisions. This marks a shift in strategy from solo aircraft missions to networked operations that combine human input with automated precision. The Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie is one of the more advanced drones being developed to operate alongside modern fighter jets. With a unit cost of about $4 million, it is built to support F-22 and F-35 aircraft during complex missions that involve coordination between manned and unmanned systems. Its design includes stealth-focused features like a sharp-edge frame, a V-shaped tail, and hidden air intakes that help lower its radar visibility and improve performance in hostile environments. The aircraft is capable of flying solo or as part of a coordinated drone group. Its deployment options are adaptable, with the ability to launch from trucks, containers, or naval ships based on mission needs. At the same time, upgrades are being developed for F-35 jets to improve electronic warfare systems aimed at strengthening coordination with unmanned platforms during advanced operations. These advancements are part of the Pentagon's broader plan under the Penetrating Affordable Autonomous Collaborative Killer Program, or PAK. The goal is to develop cost-effective systems that deliver strong performance in combat scenarios. Although the Valkyrie measures only about 30 feet in length, it can carry up to 1,200 pounds of weapons, making it a valuable asset in combined operations involving both crewed and uncrewed aircraft. The payload capacity of the aircraft supports a range of munitions based on mission needs, including precision-guided missiles for targeted strikes and area-effect weapons for broader tactical use. This adaptability allows commanders to adjust drone configurations as battlefield conditions change without needing separate aircraft types for each scenario. A major step forward in drone integration with F-35 jets and future next-generation air dominance fighters is the development of collaborative combat aircraft, or CCA. These unmanned systems are being built to operate alongside crewed platforms like the F-22 and F-35, handling a range of missions such as air-to-air engagements, electronic jamming, intelligence collection, and precision strikes on ground and naval targets with high levels of coordination. Collaborative combat aircraft are a leap beyond earlier loyal wingman drone designs, which relied heavily on human control. These new systems are equipped with advanced AI, allowing for full autonomy, quick adaptation to mission changes, and lower costs compared to conventional military jets. The United States Air Force is aiming to field around 1,000 of these drones, 600 paired with 300 F-35s and 400 supporting 200 NGAD fighters. That number could grow to more than 2,000, depending on how many drones each aircraft can handle during missions. Lockheed Martin is changing the trajectory of the F-35 Lightning with plans to bring in 6th-generation technology from the Next Generation Air Dominance program. CEO Jim Taiclet confirmed that the upgrades will push the jet's capabilities beyond its current level, aiming for what he calls 5th Generation Plus. The overhaul includes integrating cybernetics across the aircraft's systems and looking into a fully unmanned version that could fly without a pilot on board. One of the most talked about moments from the CEO's announcement was a challenge issued to Lockheed Martin's engineering teams. The target: deliver 80% of 6th-generation capability at half the cost. That statement has stirred debate across the defense sector and among aviation analysts, signaling a major change in how future combat aircraft might be developed and funded. The idea centers on turning the F-35 into what some in the industry are referring to as an NGAD Lite, a version that offers many of the advanced features expected from 6th-generation fighters, but at a lower cost. That approach could make it viable for more military buyers. Lockheed Martin has emphasized that it isn't trying to go head-to-head with Boeing for the official NGAD contract. Instead, the focus remains on upgrading the F-35, which continues to be a key part of the company's defense lineup and a major source of revenue. Lockheed Martin's strategy makes use of its current experience and manufacturing setup, sidestepping the expense and uncertainty tied to building a brand new aircraft. This method of upgrading the jet has led to comparisons within defense circles to high-performance cars, with some referring to it as the NASCAR or Ferrari version. The label highlights how the existing airframe is being enhanced with advanced tech drawn from both the F-35 and NGAD programs. The upgraded jet is expected to benefit from the same advanced systems being built for sixth-generation fighters. That includes hypersonic weapons capable of striking at extremely high speeds, laser-based defenses designed to counter incoming threats, and sensor suites that offer a high level of situational awareness during operations. The new technology being added to the jet brings up a key question. If it can match the capabilities of sixth-generation jets like the NGAD, is there still a need to build those next-gen platforms from scratch? This could change military planning, not just in the United States, but also among allied countries already flying the F-35. Upgrading current fleets might be a more practical option than investing in entirely new aircraft, especially when cost and export limitations are factored in. The F-35 packs some seriously advanced mission systems that make this fighter jet stand out from everything else in the sky. The whole setup revolves around getting all the different sensors and avionics to work together, creating what's basically a super enhanced view of everything happening around the aircraft. At the heart of it all sits the Northrop Grumman AN/APG-81 radar, an active electronically scanned array system that does way more than just detect targets. This actually doubles as part of the electronic warfare suite, which is pretty clever engineering when thinking about it. The electronic warfare game gets handled by the BAE Systems AN/ASQ-239 Barracuda system, designed to mess with enemy radar and communications. Then there's the really cool Northrop Grumman/Raytheon AN/AQ-37 system. They call it the Distributed Aperture System, or DAS. This creates a 360-degree view around the aircraft using multiple sensors. For targeting, Lockheed Martin built the AN/AAQ-40 Electro-Optical Targeting System, or EOTS for short. Communication and navigation get covered by the Northrop Grumman AN/ASQ-242 CNI suite. That's communications, navigation, and identification all rolled into one package. What makes all this technology really special isn't just the individual pieces, but how everything connects together. Instead of having separate systems doing their own thing, the F-35 fuses all this sensor data into one complete picture of what's happening in the local area. The pilot gets this enhanced situational awareness that previous generation fighters just can't match, and the whole aircraft becomes part of a larger networked combat system. Most of the F-35 software got built using C and C++ programming languages, though the developers also grabbed some ADA-83 code from the F-22 program. The Block 3F software package ended up with 8.6 million lines of code, which gives a sense of just how massive this system really is. The whole jet runs on Green Hill's software, Integrity DO-178B. That's a real-time operating system designed specifically for critical applications. This RTOS handles the integrated core processors, while data gets moved around using IEEE 1394B and fiber channel connections. The avionics design took a smart approach by using commercial off-the-shelf components wherever possible. This COTS strategy makes upgrades way cheaper and gives more flexibility down the road. The software-defined radio systems are a perfect example. Fleet-wide software updates become much easier to roll out when the hardware foundation uses standard components. But here's the thing that really caused headaches during development: the mission system software, especially the sensor fusion parts. Getting all those different sensors to talk to each other and create one unified picture turned out to be incredibly complex. This software challenge became one of the biggest technical hurdles in the entire program and ended up causing major delays that pushed back delivery schedules for years. If Lockheed Martin released a significantly upgraded F-35 to the market, it's expected that many countries would move quickly to secure orders. The cost-to-capability ratio would make it a strong alternative to developing homegrown platforms or waiting for export versions of sixth-generation fighters. Even if Boeing and its collaborators roll out an exportable NGAD, questions remain about whether the pricing would allow for widespread adoption among allied air forces. Lockheed Martin's plan hinges on whether its engineers can turn the CEO's claim of building a sixth-generation F-35 at half the usual cost into a working product. There's still debate over whether that goal is realistic or just corporate optimism that doesn't match the challenges of developing high-end military aircraft. The defense sector will be paying close attention to see if this concept moves from idea to execution and whether it changes the way air forces think about modernization going forward. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.